My wife wanted to renegotiate our marriage. My terms made her terminate everything. My counterproposal left her speechless. Update 2. She closed the folder and looked at me expectantly like she'd just presented the deal of the century. These are my non-negotiable terms for continuing this partnership, she declared. I've researched what healthy marriages look like in today's world, and these represent industry standards for progressive relationships. Industry standards for marriage. What happens if I don't agree to these terms? I asked, keeping my voice neutral. Her smile faltered slightly. Well, then I'd have to seriously reconsider whether this relationship is meeting my needs. I'm not interested in staying in an arrangement that doesn't value my contributions appropriately. There it was, the ultimatum delivered with corporate politeness. I see you're processing this information, she said, misreading my silence as consideration. I know it's a lot to absorb, but I'm confident you'll recognize the value proposition here. I'm essentially offering you the opportunity to be married to an upgraded version of me. An upgraded version like she was software getting a new release. These terms ensure I can be my best self in our relationship, she continued. When I'm fulfilled and properly supported, everyone benefits. Think of it as an investment in our future. She actually believed her own presentation. In her mind, she was being generous by giving me the chance to meet her new standards. She convinced herself that accepting her demands would somehow improve our marriage. I need some time to review this, I said, standing up from the table. Of course, she beamed. Take all the time you need. I know change can be overwhelming, but I'm excited about where we're headed once we implement these improvements. As I walked away from her makeshift boardroom, I could hear her humming contentedly while she packed up her presentation materials. She was genuinely pleased with herself, convinced she'd just solved all our relationship problems with her corporate approach. She had no idea what was coming next. Over the next few days, I did exactly what she'd suggested. I reviewed her terms carefully. I considered the implications. I even did some research of my own, but not the kind she was expecting. For the next 5 days, I let her believe I was seriously considering her proposal. She'd check in periodically, asking if I had any questions about her terms or needed clarification on any points. Her confidence grew with each passing day. I'm really proud of how mature you're being about this, she said Wednesday morning, patting my shoulder like I was a good employee who'd accepted a demotion gracefully. Most men would react emotionally instead of logically analyzing the benefits. What she didn't know was that I was conducting my own analysis, just not on her terms. I spent those days consulting with a divorce attorney, understanding exactly what our assets look like and how they'd be divided. I organized our financial documents, made copies of important records, and quietly moved some funds into a personal account she didn't have access to. I also did some genuine market research. I looked at rental properties in better neighborhoods. I researched what single life would actually cost me. I calculated the real financial impact of her demands versus the cost of ending things entirely. The numbers were eye-opening. By Friday, I had a complete picture of our situation and several options for how to proceed. More importantly, I had a strategy. I'm ready to discuss your proposal, I announced that evening using the same formal tone she'd adopted the week before. Her face lit up with satisfaction. Wonderful. I knew you'd come around once you had time to process everything rationally. Let's schedule a proper meeting for Sunday, I said. I want to give your proposal the thorough response it deserves. She practically glowed. I'll prepare some additional materials to help clarify any concerns you might have. Sunday morning, I set up my own presentation area in our living room. I had documents, a laptop, and even borrowed her easel. When she walked in and saw my setup, she clapped her hands together excitedly. Look at you being so professional about this, she exclaimed. I love that we're handling this like adults. Please have a seat, I said, gesturing to the chair across from me. I've completed my analysis of your proposal and prepared a comprehensive response. She settled in eagerly, notebook ready to take notes on whatever minor adjustments I might suggest to her perfect plan. First, I want to thank you for your detailed presentation, I began. It really helped clarify some things for me about our relationship and where we stand. She nodded approvingly, clearly pleased with my respectful approach. After careful consideration of your terms and conducting my own market research, I've identified several areas of concern, I continued, opening my laptop to display a spreadsheet. Oh, what kind of concerns? She asked, leaning forward with interest rather than worry. Well, let's start with a basic cost-benefit analysis, I said, turning the screen toward her. Your proposal essentially reduces your contributions to our household while significantly increasing mine. From a business perspective, that's what we call a declining value proposition. Her smile wavered slightly, but she recovered quickly. I think you're misunderstanding the strategic value of my new role. Actually, I think I understand it perfectly, I replied. Which brings me to my counter-proposal. I pulled out a folder and placed it on the coffee table between us. After analyzing your terms against current market conditions and alternative options available to me, I've concluded that your proposal represents an unacceptable deal. What do you mean unacceptable? She asked, her confident tone beginning to crack. I mean the return on investment doesn't justify the required expenditure, I explained, using her preferred corporate language. Your demands increase my costs while decreasing the benefits I receive from this partnership. She stared at me, clearly not expecting this kind of pushback. We can adjust some of the details if you have specific concerns, she said. That's very generous, I replied. But I'm afraid the fundamental business model is flawed. I decided to pursue a different strategy entirely. What kind of strategy? She asked. And for the first time since this whole negotiation began, I heard uncertainty in her voice. I opened my folder and pulled out the first document. I'm exercising what I call the termination option. The color drained from her face as I placed the divorce papers on the coffee table between us. "What is this?" she whispered, staring at the documents like they might bite her. "This is my counter-proposal," I said calmly. "After conducting a thorough performance review of our current arrangement, I've determined that termination is the most logical business decision." "You can't be serious," she stammered. But I could see the panic creeping into her eyes as she realized I wasn't bluffing. "Let me walk you through my analysis," I continued, pulling out a detailed spreadsheet. "You wanted to approach this like a business negotiation, so let's examine the actual metrics. Now you can watch the third part by pressing share and more."